I should have been put in the straitjacket.
Well, yeah.
100%. Erin and I have done things that
we've done drive-bys that we're not proud of. Welcome, new people. You should know that we are never prepared. We are always wearing sweats. We're never wearing makeup.
I would almost consider myself the MC of this podcast. I am the narrator.
So welcome. We hope you enjoy this.
Oh, let me take this one since I'm the one that has been saying to Allison, we need to talk to all our girls who have broken hearts. We need to talk to all our girls who are like, what do you do when you love someone and they don't love you back?
Mm-hmm.
And we found the guy.
We found our guy, and his name is Guy Winch. Okay. He's a psychologist. He is the author of How to Fix a Broken Heart. And he really has a great way that he talks to us about sort of like methods on how to break free of this, how to accept it, how to get out of our own way, bad habits.
No. Yeah. His TED Talk, which I would say
hand grabbing at me.
I would say our episode's even better than his TED Talk, but his TED Talks have millions and millions of views.
I don't know if you want to diss his TED Talk while we're introing him.
Oh, his TED Talk's amazing. I'm just saying, I think this episode is going to heal people.
Agree.
I think it's going to heal you guys. I'm freaking telling you. So listen to it, send it to your friends.
Good episode.
And enjoy. Okay. So I get asked a lot by women or talking in my friend group, this very simple, common question that I would imagine doesn't have such a simple answer, or maybe it does. What do you do when someone you love doesn't love you back?
Sarah, if you're asking for yourself, just say it. Okay. Be honest, be vulnerable. You're asking for yourself.
Asking for a friend. No,
I
wish.
Big air quotes on the friend.
Yeah. So anyways, it led me to talking to our producer and Erin and just going like, we got to have this conversation. We've got to dive into broken hearts, how to repair them, how the ego is connected, how shame is connected. And ultimately, and I'll talk about it later, but I spent so many years living not my best life because I had a broken heart in my 20s and I didn't know how to deal with it. And I wasted many, many years. So we want to help women not do that.
Yes.
And that is why you're here.
That's what I do. So happy to be here and happy to help with that.
Yeah. So can you take us through kind of how you ended up focusing on this in your practice and a little bit kind of about how you got here?
Well, in my practice, I don't think there's any therapist who doesn't deal with people who are heartbroken. They don't necessarily come for that, but it happens along the way, as it were. And one thing that stands out is that in my graduate school training, I have a PhD, but I think in every training, there's not going to be a module on heartbreak. There's not going to be a class on heartbreak. There's not going to be a paragraph about heartbreak. It's just not addressed in that way. But it is a very unique experience because it's a real grief experience that people have that can cause incredible pain. I mean, if you think about it, there's no other experience in life which can take someone with no psychiatric history and within a text message, turn them into a mental patient. People get...
Oh, no. I should have been put in the straitjacket.
Well, yeah.
100%. The straitjacket was calling my name. And I just, I was doing things. Erin and I have done things that we've done
drive-bys that we're not proud of.
I was having friends' parents do drive-bys. I was like, if you see that BMW convertible, she's there. I know she is. I mean, just crazy stuff. I was breaking into phones.
Yeah. People do very crazy things. They act extremely out of character. And then it compounds it because they get so distressed about what the hell's going on wrong with me? Like, am I going crazy? That adds another layer of suffering on the suffering that they're already experiencing because they don't understand why they're acting the way they are.
And then other people are reacting differently to breakups in your friend group. So then you're comparing yourself to them. I remember I had a couple girlfriends who would rebound so fast. I mean, they would get their heart broken and they would go, oh, I'm going to go on a date with so-and-so. And I would be sitting there, shaking in a corner going, how is she capable of just being okay? I truly couldn't process. And then that makes there's another added layer of shame when you're going, well, they deal with it in one way and I'm dealing it with this. And then it's a spiral.
Look, everyone's very different. And every heartbreak is different. It depends on the context, on the situation, on who you are, on what happened. Some of them can be incredibly gut-wrenching. And then the next one you have, hopefully you won't, but the next one might be like, nah, this one I can toss off a little bit more easily. It's really very, very unique and individual to every person. So you can't judge yourself or other people by how they manage a situation without knowing really all the nitty-gritty details.
But can you tell us, what are some ways that, Sara and I talk about self-esteem a lot. We have, when I was single, in Sarah's single years, previously, she's talked about as well, us feeling like we didn't have very high self-esteem. So if somebody was rejecting us, our instinct was to internalize it, torture ourselves, beg, fight, plead, stalk, whatever the thing is, to like not have to accept the reality that we weren't chosen. And we find ourselves really admiring women in our lives who take rejection with a grain of salt, who go, oh, they weren't interested, and that's okay because maybe that's not my person. And we had never been capable of that. We had always been sort of traumatized and paralyzed by rejection. And so what are some things that someone listening can do in their own life to become more resilient to rejection? Is that possible even? What can we be teaching our daughters to help them not be paralyzed the way that we were paralyzed by heartbreak?
Yeah, of course it's possible. Look, the thing about rejection is this. The rejection itself does 10% of the damage. Then we go and do 90%. Because we generalize it and we personalize it and we take it as a statement about our self-worth or about like this, I'll never find love now. It was like one person didn't swipe, and we make it so severe. Our self-esteem is battered, and then we go and we pummel it like we're in some kind of psychological fight club. It's really unfortunate. And that's where you have to turn off the damage. Like, in other words, yes, it hurts, that 10%. Again, I'm making up these percentages, but roughly, it hurts, but don't make it worse. And I said this in one of my first TED Talks, like when you get a cut on your arm, it wouldn't occur to you to take a knife and see how much deeper you can make the cut, because that would seem stupid. But we do that mentally all the time. We get hurt and we then start a self-dialogue that just makes us feel massively worse. And then we're convinced by it when we did that.
Right. So our instinct is somebody says, hey, I don't feel a romantic connection. And we decide, so what if nobody ever is going to feel
I'm
a romantic
unlovable,
connection?
I'm unattractive, I'll never find anyone. If that person doesn't like me, then who would? What's wrong with me? Why does this keep happening to me? Let me look at myself in the mirror and look at every possible flaw I can find. Let me think of everything I've ever done wrong on a date and self-flagellate for it. Like, we really do a number on ourselves. Now, when you have a wound, and rejection creates an emotional wound, you have to treat it. You have to actually heal it. So what you actually should be doing is the absolute opposite of what comes naturally, i.e., you have to focus on everything you do bring to the table, on everything you do have to offer, on all your strengths, on all the great parts of you, on all the things that would make you a great relationship prospect, on everything that everyone has ever liked, admired, or found attractive about you in the past. That should be our thought process after we get rejected. But we indulge this very natural instinct to savage our self-esteem, and then it makes ourselves feel so much worse and so much more wounded and so much less confident than we then go on, because now we just had 1,000 voices in our head, all of them ours, telling us how poorly we'll fare in that situation.
I spent my entire 20s, and I'm going to make it short because our audience has already heard all about this, but
I lived through it with you.
Yeah, I spent my 20s just telling myself a lie, telling myself, oh, that person didn't want to be with you because you're not pretty enough, you're not fit enough, you're not successful enough, and that's why he did not want to be with you. And I took that narrative and I literally sat in it for 10 years to come to find out way later in life, that person was like, no, I didn't want to be with you because you were like not a human. You never said how you felt. I was so busy trying to be so cool so that person would like me that I completely sabotaged the whole thing. I was like, couldn't you have just told me this, a little sooner that's why, you didn't want to be with me? I thought it was because of this. And that wasn't a very articulate way of putting it, but I just want our women to listen to this and not do the same dumb shit that I did.
Right, but that's what insecurity does, right? I mean, it makes you so afraid to show who you are that you try and like accommodate, adjust to like putty to the person who's with you. Oh, they like this. Oh, yes, I like this. They want a woman who's like this. Oh, then I will be like this. But what that does is A, it's not you. And B, it prevents the person from actually getting to know the real you. And inauthenticity is very bland because you're afraid to stake a position on anything, because unless that's what they like, then they might not like it. So you stay bland. And then bland is not attractive. And so that's the mistake of insecurity. It fosters blandness, and you have to stay away from that.
It's so true. And all the times that we're, Insta-stalking the new girlfriend or Insta-stalking the ex-girlfriend to like, oh, she wears baggy jeans. Okay, I'm going to wear baggy jeans. I'm going to wear baggy jeans. It's like all this investigating that we do is for nothing. It's for nothing but just making us crazier.
Also, it's not a long-term gambit, because long-term, if you're going to be with someone, then they need to be a good match for you just as you need to be a good match for them. And if you're putting on clothes like baggy jeans that you don't like, just to appeal to them because you saw it on their ex, which, by the way, they might have tolerated in their ex, but like, God, I wish you wore something else, then you are committing to baggy jeans for an eternity of a relationship. You'll be like, wow, I really shouldn't have done that. And one of the things I always explain, and this is important for people to understand, is that the first few dates actually set a precedent for what the relationship is going to be. Relationship dynamics are like cement. And like cement, you can mold it when it's wet. And it's very hard to mold when it's dry. And like cement, that dries quickly. And so in the first few dates, if you're trying to act a certain way, you are committing to that, right? If you are accepting of something that's slightly annoying or slightly not okay, you're kind of saying, this is okay for me. And then later on, when you'll be like, I don't love that thing about you. You never said anything about it. It's been 3 months. What the hell's going on? And so you don't have to make a big deal about everything, but you have to indicate that you don't, I'm not a fan of this. Or how come you're doing that? Like,
Okay, but hold on. So what do we do with that then? So this is great. So, okay, this is great advice. So let's say you are going on a first date with somebody and you're not, let's say, a dog person. Okay. And this person is talking to you about his 5 German shepherds that he lives for. And all you're doing is sitting there thinking like, I will sneeze if one of those dogs comes near me.
First of all, you're probably not a good match.
Okay. But so on the first date, should you sort of take that and go, okay, I know myself. I know where this is like, or how do you handle something like this?
Okay, because of the example, if they have 5 German shepherds, you should say to them, what happened to you? That you need to have 5 German shepherds around you. What, poor man, have you been through? Anyway, but that aside, because I think that's a bit much. But let's say they have 1. Let's give them 1.
2 German shepherds.
Okay, fine, 2. Let's give them 2. But if you don't like dogs, you can say to them like, I'm actually not a dog person per se, but I do love animals in general. I love animals. I'm just not, a dog person. So it will take me a little bit of time to get friendly with the dogs. But I can get there. Don't worry. In other words, you don't have to make it a deal breaker. But you do have to announce that, no, I'm not going to be all over your German shepherds. And I certainly hope they're not going to be all over me when I meet them.
But I think, a more realistic version of that, which is a less extreme, is I remember I've dated a lot. Sarah has not dated that much. And I always felt like a big part of dating was this question and answer the first 2 dates of what kind of music do you listen to? Where do you like to go? What do you like to do on the weekends? Who are your best friends? And I always felt this panic of what's the right answer? Do I admit that I watch Real Housewives of Miami, or do I pretend that I watch something more, highbrow? Do I admit the music I like to listen to, or the people I hang out with, or the things I do on the weekends, or do I want to seem interesting? And I think, to me, what I'm hearing you say is those early dates, that is when you get to show who you really are. And if you're saying, well, I don't really know. I don't know. What have you watched lately? Oh, I like to hang out, but nothing really, no one place in particular, then you're not bringing anything to the table.
True, but you can actually qualify, right? You can say, like, I do have some guilty pleasures. I mean, don't kill me, but I like the Housewives of Miami, but I'm open to many other things. Like, so you don't say, like,
okay, so
I'm a super fan. That's all I want to watch. If it's not a housewife, I don't want to see it. But you can qualify it, but you do want to bring some flavor, because otherwise, why should they like you if they don't know who you are? Certainly, why should they love you? Why should they be interested if there's nothing to be interested about?
That is
That's
so true.
real.
And think about it, Sarah. Like, it's like if a guy said, oh, I'm obsessed with UFC, and you're like, ew, I hate UFC. That's so gross. And he was like, well, I don't really like it that much. You'd lose respect for him. I'd rather you be into UFC and me have a negative opinion than you backpedal and decide you don't like it anymore because I don't like it.
Right. And you can always say, like, well, that's something you'll be watching without me.
Exactly.
I'll be watching the Housewives in the other room. How's that? Like, you can make a joke out of it, but you don't have to love everything they love. But do
you think this generation, you guys, is more like that? I mean, we were born in the 80s. So it's like, I'm wondering if this generation is more, I mean, of course we can't generalize, everybody's different, but overall, do women kind of own themselves more and own who they are and are less afraid to fit into some sort of box? Again, we can't generalize. Everyone's different. But I don't know. I mean, like Erin, like the 30-year-old women that we know, they feel different. They just feel different. I mean, they have a whole other scope of problems.
People aren't getting their heartbroken less, which, by the way, let's get into heartbreak.
They're getting, by the way, they're heartbroken less because they're dating less, number one. And number two,
less sex and less dating.
Less sex, less dating, and less labels. And so they're not even putting big labels on it. So and without a label, it's like, no, what are we doing? Really? In other words, it's fine for a while, but then after a while, it's like, it's a situationship all the time. Like, at what point does it progress? And so, these things are current now, but they'll have to shift because it's not a lifelong strategy.
But do you think that's because women genuinely want that women genuinely feel comfortable in a sort of situationship, no labels? Or is it more that women today are like, feel like that's how they're supposed to feel? I love a title. Personally, I love a title.
Look, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, our culture dictates our expectations, and those are the expectations we bring to a situation, and culture is generation specific a lot of the time. And so there's some kind of combination. The culture emerged from some kind of movement in that direction, but that also sets an expectation that people then have, feel some kind of pull to comply with.
We did the coolest Airbnb experience. So Airbnb,
Erin, before you jump into it, can we take a moment of silence for the fact that Airbnb, which is, I don't know, one of the coolest companies around, wants to associate with us in the podcast? I just think it's so cool.
Oh, okay. Well, your self-esteem is famously low. Mine is a little higher. I think of me and Airbnb sort of like on the same level. It
just feels like, whoa, Airbnb. It's a big deal. I mean, Airbnb has been really good to me.
All right. Well, you take your moment of silence. I will fill that silence with space of me talking.
Okay.
So basically, Airbnb, as we all know, is the place where you go to, stay somewhere when you're on a vacation or a new city, blah, blah, blah. But now they're doing experiences. We went and did the Airbnb experience at Cantor's Deli.
No, this was special.
If you don't live in LA, Cantor's Deli is this iconic institution in LA. It's this amazing, huge, beautiful, famous old Jewish deli. And the grandson of the guy who started it, the couple who started it, Mark Cantor, did the whole experience for us. And he turned Sarah into a pickle lover.
No. It was their specific pickles. Like, because I tried another pickle after. No. It wasn't for me. But the Cantor's
you got a little
pickle,
cocky. You thought, oh, I like pickles now. And then you were wrong.
Yeah. No, their pickles are exceptional. But what Airbnb Experience is doing, it's providing ways to connect with other travelers. So how cool if you're in a random city, you don't know people, hooking up with people you don't know. Oh, that didn't come out right. Meeting up meeting up and getting to know people you don't know at these different Airbnb experiences. It's
cool. Also just a great way that if you go to a new city and you're trying to think of an activity to do with a friend, and if you're not a museum person, which I'm not, it's a great way to do an activity without having to go on a bike ride. I mean, I'm sure they have those too.
Or shop.
An activity that's also a little bit of learning, and it's an experience, and it kind of turns you into a local.
I think a lot of people come to LA. It's like, oh, let's go shop. No, go do an experience.
Great date idea. You can do a pasta making class. It's very cute for a date. So
agree.
We agree on something, people, Erin. Taking someone out on a date, you should use Airbnb experiences. So check out an experience for your next trip at airbnb.com/experiences.
I would like to say that I turned you on to the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. I'd like to say
I don't think that's true. I think my business managers did long before I even knew you.
Oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, you might have had one first. Dang.
I think I did. I think that you've been trying to take my business managers from me for many years, and you copy everything that they tell me to do.
Here's what it came up. I'm not going to disparage anybody else, but I was complaining. I was like, why am I not getting the upgrades? Why do I not get special treatments at this place? And then I'm seeing you're just collecting points, you're using them, you're staying in better places, and I don't like that.
I'm like, oh, I'll see you in the lounge, and you're like, oh, I can't go to that lounge.
No, I'm not kidding. I think that's how it happened. So I called Simon. I was like, what's going on? Like what? And of course,
he made fun of your ATM card that you were using.
Well, he just was like, get with the times. So he wasn't kidding. I mean, the perks that come along with this card, pretty incredible.
I agree.
I used to be the person who was like, no, I'm not going to go to a lounge when I go to the airport. I'm going to just sit by the gate. I want to be first to board. Now, no, put me in that lounge.
Very pedestrian of you to just sit by the gate.
Give me some good food. Give me a nice sofa. That's what I want.
Chase Sapphire Reserve, it's a club you want to be a part of. Let's just say that.
You're getting those travel and dining benefits.
I was just going to say that. They give you a $300 annual dining credit. So that's pretty great. You can take somebody out to dinner, pretend like you paid for it, but really Chase paid for it. The credit applies to restaurants that are part of the Sapphire Reserve exclusive tables. By the way, no activation or reservation is required.
The Sapphire Reserve exclusive tables features really good restaurants, by the way. Should we name some?
Places that are hard to get into.
Maybe we'll just let you have to look into that. We don't want to spoil it for you. Here's what I like. I'm going to tell you what I like. I like a lot of things, but I like that your points actually give you something in return. You're not begging. You're not trying to figure it out. It's very clear. You are getting 4 times the points on flights and hotels booked direct. You are getting a $300 annual travel credit. You're going to get the most flexible travel credit on the market with up to $300 in statement credits for travel purchases, each account anniversary year. Okay. That's going to just other companies aren't doing that. See more rewards at chase.com/reserve it. Cards issued by JP Morgan Chase Bank, NA member FDIC, subject to credit approval, terms apply.
Okay, so when someone's heart is broken, you said here that in our notes, you mentioned in your TED Talk that the brain is activated through heartbreak, similar to when you're having withdrawals from heroin or cocaine.
Yeah. That totally makes sense.
Which absolutely makes sense, right? It's a one-track mind, obsessive. That person becomes God to you.
Correct.
Right? All you can think about is how do I get this person to like me, which it is unrealistic in general because that one thing doesn't shift everything, right? So you become irrational and emotional and
desperate,
obsessive and desperate, right? You become desperate, exactly, like a drug addict. So how do we prevent this from happening? Let's say you're someone who has this tendency to get too invested, too desperate, too attached, but you want to meet your person. And so how do you protect yourself? Is there a way to protect yourself? How do we pull out of it when we're in it?
So here's a wrinkle. Sorry, I'm starting with a wrinkle, but there's a wrinkle.
That's okay.
It's okay.
Yes.
You gotta be a straight shooter with us.
So here's the reality.
Appreciate it.
The heartbreak does mimic the withdrawal from opioids. That implies that falling in love is a form of addiction, which is a wrinkle because it's a horribly unromantic thing to say. But there's something to it. In those first throes of love, we become addicted. Nothing really matters. accept that person. We don't really care about anything else. All our life is waiting to hear from them again or waiting to see them again. We feel okay when we're with them. We feel not so okay when we're not. It does mimic addiction. So the issue is that you have to temper things a little bit. A little bit. Again, not to be unromantic about this, but you have to remind yourself, and this is something I remind people all the time, and they know it. They hate hearing it in the moment, but they know it. And that is like, you don't know this person. You have 5 data points, which you filled in to create a Mona Lisa, but it's from 5 data points. Like, you don't know them. It will take time to know them. How much time? At least a year. You have to be through all the seasons with them, through all the holidays.
Okay, so Guy, is the thing that's making us so addicted, is it how that person makes us feel about ourselves?
Not always, because they can make you feel really crappy about yourself and you'll still be addicted. And that happens all the time, that they make you feel insecure. They're a little controlling. They're a little this, they're a little that. And you're still like, but I still want them. You know, and so it's not even that. I mean, that's the ideal. You should fall in love with somebody who makes you feel great to be you, because it makes you feel seen, because they're actually interested and getting to know you, and then the you they see is something they really like. That would be lovely. But the addiction happens sometimes not that. But it takes a year to get to know. You have to travel with them and see, are they like, what kind of nightmare are they when they travel? How do they spend a weekend? What are they like in all these, how are they among their friends? Are they the same person with their friends that they are with you? Sometimes you see them among their friends and like, I'm sorry, who's this? I don't seem to know this person. Or with their families, and suddenly they go into their family role and you're like, yeesh, that must be the adolescent version. I'm glad I don't see that a lot. You know, but you need to know all these things. So you just have to remind yourself at the beginning, yes, it seems lovely, but I don't quite know yet. That will take time. So hold back a smidge.
Right. So you're saying you have to do everything in your power to remind yourself to not be jumping in with both feet unabashedly into love. You have to be a little bit reserved and remind yourself as much as possible that you don't have all the information.
Right.
Is it as easy as just telling yourself that? I mean, how?
You have to remind
that all
yourself,
sounds
right? I mean,
great.
you have to like give yourself reminders. Yeah. And, you know, like, look, if you want to go into more detail, what I would really suggest, and this is, again, horribly unromantic, and people say, like, this guy is so unromantic. Anyway, but I'm saying anyway, like, after a date, like, after a few dates, like, you know, everything's great, but take some time and think, like, okay, what things about them might, at some point, slightly not be great for me? You know, like where there might be some incompatibilities, where might there be some habits or some things about them that seem charming now but can get super irritating super quickly. Like, just be aware of some of the things. I can put some speed bumps on it. But again, love is love. The tricky part is, once you are in love, once you are addicted, how do you get over it in the heartbreak scenario? And there the guiding, you know, principle is a simple one. It's, you know, like if it's a drug, you don't take the drug in any form. You don't hang around the people who have the drug. You don't, you know, your goal is to minimize the stage time that person has in your thoughts. Less and less and less until they're no longer there, and the appearances they do make are less painful. That's the ultimate goal. But there are steps along the way.
Yeah. Because you're unfollowing on social media right away. Right away.
I believe in no contact. Because how else do you know, like a little sniff of the drug's not going to help you. I'm just going to inject a little bit today. Okay. And then that's not going to be useful.
You believe in no contact, but you know, it's like, yeah.
When it's possible. It's often not. When it's
now when you're heartbroken, you're still holding out hope, right?
Yes.
And okay, then here's the other thing that happens. People are not everyone's a dick. So when they break up, they try not to sound, you know, like as harsh as possible. I'll never, ever be with you. No one needs to say it. You don't need to say it. And then you're like, what? But I thought it was, we can never be together. And then they do this. I don't know, not right now, maybe in 5 years. And you go, I'll wait. No, you won't. Don't. But they soften it. And then you're like, there's hope. There's hope. Hope is very destructive because it's based on what? Now sometimes, in a rare occasion, there actually is, because it's really about something that's going on with their work, and they've been so stressed, and maybe when they move to that new job, they'll be less stressed and they'll have more room and space for a relationship, maybe, yada, yada. But generally, if they broke up, especially if they're moving on, then what are you waiting for them to, what's the lightning that has to strike them for them to be like, oh, I just woke up and realized I want back?
I always say to my friends, if they are being ghosted or if they have been told what you just said, like, now it's not like, I love you so much, I want to be with you, just not now. Now doesn't work. You need to reframe that they said to you, I am not attracted to you, I'm not into you, I have no interest in being with you. Is that bad advice or good advice?
It's good advice. Well, I mean, if somebody actually says, I love you so much, I just can't be with you right now, it better have a really compelling explanation for why, if you love her so much, you can't be with her.
Right. They're
what
going
is
to
that
war.
Explanation?
They're going to
They'd
war.
better go to war. They had better
be going to war.
Go to war.
And we need to see you get on the plane,
on the
going
plane
to war.
in fatigues.
Yeah.
They better do something.
Yes,
It
yes,
has to be something like that. I'm being shipped out. But short of that, just because,
like, what could
it's not
stop
the
you from
right
being
time
with that
for me. Why is it not the right time for you? Why would it be the right time in a month? Like, I love you so much, but is a bullshit thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And we live in friend groups now where we, as women, to our friends, we sort of coddle this sort of communication. We're like, no, he does love you, just give him space. Fuck that. Guys, let's also, as women, not let our friends sit in this longer than she needs to. Mm-hmm. If the man is telling you, just not right now, but he loves, no, let's just,
we should be saying to our friend, it's not looking good. Where guys might, do you find this that women will lie to each other more than men will lie to each other?
Well, women will talk about it way more than men will talk about it, and they'll express their feelings way more on both sides, and they will be able to express emotional support and compassion. I'm generalizing, generally much more articulately than, men are not socialized to express those things. It'll be like a smack on the shoulder and, bro, sorry, dude, and there won't be a ton, maybe, that's not true. I'm of the generation, especially the younger generation
I do
more
agree
articulate,
with that, though.
But it's like, but they're more fatalistic about it.
Guys, this isn't rocket science, right? Rocket science. Men handle things differently than women.
Yes,
we know.
But women, there's this cultural expectation with our girlfriends that we sort of are expecting them to lie to us and lie with us and sit in the same hope that we're sitting in. If we say, he broke it off with me, I feel like he doesn't ever want to be with me again. If our girlfriend said, it really sounds like he doesn't, like this, we got to move on.
Right. Then that girl, you're
how
disowned.
dare you?
Yeah.
You're supposed to tell me, you are not, that is not right. You are a huge catch. He is lucky to be with you. I bet you he's just scared. And it's really enabling of bad sense of hope.
Look, all that is true, that they might be scared, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that what happens is that when we seek support, and this is true of men and women, we, in our setup, communicate the kind of support that we're looking for. So women might actually go and say, like, I part of me really wants to think that, that he'll come back and that he'll just come to his senses, but he said this, but you'll communicate somehow, I really want you to tell me that there's hope. And then as a good friend, you're like, but there might be hope. You think so? And it's like, well, kind of no, but you kind of asked me to think so. It's that more.
By the way, as if your friend has any intel on this, right? One person could say, I think he misses you. And you're like, okay, well, that's solved then. He misses me because my friend Kathy thinks that there's still hope. So now there's still hope.
Right. And that could be very misleading.
To any opportunity.
Right.
Very misleading. So do you think as friends, we should be a little bit more harsh with our friends? Should we say, like, you got to move on?
No, but we have to be compassionate, but realistic. People, I'll tell you something. Because of what I do, people in my social life, friends, people I care about, will call me sometimes and say, this is going on. This is what they said. What do you think is going on? And to, like in one case just recently, somebody called and said, oh, the husband just said this, and we went to couples therapy, and this is what they said in the couples therapy. What do you think? And I was 98% sure that this guy is out. He was out already. He was going through the motions, but he had already long decided that he's out. I was 98% sure. I said it. I said, I'm afraid that to me, that sounds like he's out. And you've been so afraid to ask him directly, wait a minute, is there a chance here, or are you 98% out? That I think if you pose that question to him, he'll admit that he's out. But he's going through the motions because you made him feel like, but you haven't even given this a chance, and can't you give it a chance? And you were so distraught that he said, okay. But he's going through the motions. He doesn't really mean it. And if you ask him directly, he'll probably say that. And she was really upset to hear that.
Was she upset with you?
No, she was upset, period. She was not going to shoot the messenger. She asked for my opinion. I gave it to her. But then she went and asked him directly, and sure enough. And then she said afterwards, she said like, well, you know what? Thanks, because I would have spent like 3 months in couples therapy developing hope and wasting my time and all of that. And at least like, let's cut to the chase.
And also how empowering.
Wow.
I mean, I have never been somebody that has ever asked those kind of direct questions, obviously out of fear for what the answer would be. Okay. I'm still working on it. But how empowering to actually flip it and just go, well, fuck it. It can't get any worse. So I am going to just stop the bleeding now. I'm going to get the tourniquet and I'm going to just fully, because it's not going to change. The answer, I think we tell ourselves like, he'll come out of it. She'll come out of it. It'll change. Okay, sure. Maybe those outlier situations. Okay. Yes. But for the most part, it doesn't change. So I love this for our listeners. I love this for all of us. Like, there's so much power in just directly saying how you feel and just directly going, this is how I'm taking it. This is how I'm seeing it. Can you shed some light? Like, is this where you're at? Where are you at? Whatever.
Yeah, I do want to push back on the can't change. It depends on the circumstance. And, and as somebody who's done a lot of couples therapy in my career, couples can come in very low points and with very big ruptures, and they can heal and they can repair and they can actually go forth with an even stronger relationship. With one caveat, they are both motivated to do it. And that motivation is what I'm talking about. In other words, you can sense, even as as a therapist, you can sense quite clearly, but even as the other person in the room, you can sense that they're there on sufferance. They're there because they're fine, you want me to come, but they're really not contributing. They're not setting an agenda. They're not letting you know what you need to change for them to make the relationship more workable for them. It's all about, like what do you know what I mean? Like you can tell the one-sidedness, and that's not a good sign. But there are many relationship ruptures and low points that can be mended as long as two people have the mind to do so.
I really, really like to get these ads over with so I could go put my Bond Charge mask on.
Oh, well, I love Bond Charge so much because I am all about red light lately. And I don't know if Noah's too young for it, but I keep her around when I'm doing my red light.
We can't say that it's, she's not the demo 1 year old, but guess what? We are not doctors or scientists, but I encourage you to take it to the internet and hear from doctors and scientists about all the science around red light.
She's getting older too. She's almost 17 months. And what if she could have the skin of a 14-month-old?
Yeah.
Right?
So people that are dealing with things like wrinkles and fine lines, sore jaws, eczema, migraines, acne, scar tissue, wound healing, relaxation, if these are anything that, you're interested in, then red light therapy is for you.
No, it's really, the data on red light therapy is so strong. It's sort of like you can't ignore it at this point. And Bond Charge, they are a holistic wellness brand. So they have a huge range of evidence-based products. They are founded on science, okay? It's not woo-woo stuff. It's also inspired by nature. And all of their products adopt ancestral ways of living, but in our modern day world. So it's not like hippy dippy crystals. It's for the modern world.
It's just doing many things at once. So for me, it's helping my skin, it's helping my headache, it's helping all those things, but it's putting me into such a trance, into such a relaxed state where I end up sometimes napping. I end up sometimes meditating. It just,
I know, I fall asleep all the time. It's so relaxing.
Yes.
But
It's
the
a great
Bond
gift,
Charge,
Erin.
the red light
Great
face
gift.
mask, I know holidays are coming up. They are around the corner. The red light face mask is such a
amazing
good
gift.
go-to. So go to bondcharge.com and use the coupon code Foster to save 15%. That's BONCHARGE.com and use the coupon code Foster to save 15%.
I always had something to say about body oil. I was always like, oh, I'm more of a lotion gal. But guess what? Guess what, Erin?
Body oil. Osea has changed you.
No, it's so good because in my mind, all the oils would leave me kind of like sticky. Just like, no.
The Andaria
no.
algae body oil from Osea is phenomenal. I keep it next to my bed and I just put it on my hands when I'm watching TV at night in bed. I put it on my hands. I put it on my arms because my fingers and my fingernails, I can't stand them to be dry. I need my cuticles, lubricated.
Also, do you ever feel like it makes your body look better? Like, when you get a spray tan, you're like, oh, I have a better body.
Yep.
When I put this oil everywhere, I'm like, I have a better body. It just looks better.
100%. It's non-greasy and it has this light citrusy scent of grapefruit, lime, cypress with little mango, mandarin notes. It's so delicious. It harnesses the power of Andaria seaweed in every bottle. It's also it's clinically shown to improve skin elasticity and moisturization, which is a word I've never used.
It's so rich, but it is never greasy. It is visibly firming. And here we go. It's visibly firming and making your skin more sculpted and toned. Exactly.
That's what you were
I was saying.
That's what you're saying. All of Osea's products are natural. They are non-toxic. They are clean. It is a female-owned business, a family-owned business, a small business. So you guys have to support them. So get healthy, glowing skin for fall with clean, vegan skin and body care from Osea. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with the code FIRST at oseamalibu.com. You're going to get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $50. oseamalibu.com, OSEA Malibu.com, and use the code FIRST for 10% off.
Shopping, planning.
Hungry Root. I'm in it now. I already send Noah to school now. And I stress about what food to send her. And I'm like, I buy the same things over and over again. It's like ground chicken, cucumbers, eggs, and avocado. Like, is there anything else to get? Hungry Root helps you figure out recipes, groceries to get. You take a little quiz, you talk about the foods you like to eat, the foods you don't like to eat. They offer recipes, they offer suggestions, and then they put it all together for you. So you know what you're getting and you know what to get. It helps you, it does the thinking for you.
Well, it just takes the stress out of mealtime. It's filling your cart with personalized picks, and it's planning your meals ahead of time, which is, I think, all of our problems. It has over 15,000 recipes to choose from each week. Many, by the way, of the recipes are 15-minute recipes. Smoothies, sweets, kid snacks, salad kits, ready-to-eat meals, everything.
Hungry Root holds all of its food to very high standards. That's important to me. Sarah has no standards. They screen out over 200 additives. Okay. There's no high fructose corn syrup in anything that they offer, no artificial sweeteners, no preservatives. They only source high quality meat and seafood with no hormones or antibiotics. And they offer organic produce, non-GMO options, all the best brands.
Guys, I would say just try this. Just try it. You don't like it, you can cancel it, but try it.
So take advantage of this exclusive offer for a limited time. Get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/Foster and use the code Foster. That's hungryroot.com/Foster. Code is Foster to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Foster. The code is Foster. So in your book, you write, you say, we falsely believe that we should be able to function normally, especially when psychologically speaking, something very abnormal is going on. So does that tell us that we have sort of unrealistic expectations of ourselves and people we care about when we're going through heartbreak?
Yes, but it's especially other people's feelings about us when we're going through heartbreak. In other words, part of what makes heartbreak difficult, and I talk about this in the book, is that it's disenfranchised as a form of grief. If you are saying, "Oh, I lost a close relative," "Oh my goodness, you poor thing, here, take some time off work. We'll all understand why you're, got a box of tissues in your cubicle." The sympathy is very much there. We understand why you'll be upset for quite a while. But if you come and say, "Oh, I had a breakup from a boyfriend," then what employers hear, what colleagues might hear is, okay, that's high school. You should get over that in a bit. Well, it's been 3 weeks. Why are you still upset about the boyfriend? Like there's a way in which it doesn't register as profound, and it is profound, and the grief it causes is profound, and it really is a form of grief. It's a massive loss. You could have lived with someone, your whole existence was tethered to them. They were your form of, you were mostly a one-on-one couple with a few friends on their side, and their family was in town, your family wasn't. And when they leave, they take the friends, they take the family, they take the apartment, they take the car, and you're kind of left with like nothing. And you've lost so much more than just a boyfriend. You've lost a way of life. You've lost companionship. You've lost a social life. You've lost a surrogate family. It can be so profound, but there's not that clear an understanding of that from other people.
You've also lost all hope for the future. Like, think about all the hopes and dreams that you put into what could be.
That whole future that you envisioned has gone up in smoke. And now, as you see, your life has to be completely rewritten going forward. So that, and people sometimes write that future, unfortunately, too quickly. But in general, when you live with someone, you imagine it like, okay, this, and suddenly like your whole, you look forward and there's nothing clear on the horizon but a vacancy. And so that's gutting. I mean, that's why it's truly, truly difficult. And there's not enough understanding of how gutting that is and how much support we need to give those people who are heartbroken.
No, Erin, this is so eye-opening. As someone who, we employ people, we work with a lot of people. You're right. If someone at our company came to us and was like, my boyfriend dumped me, I'm like so upset, we'd probably be like, oh my God, that sucks. But like, see you tomorrow at the office.
Get back to work.
But like, this is such a good point, what you're saying. This is making me look at things so differently. I think I need to have so much more compassion and understanding, and like, wow, that's okay.
Okay, what are some of the most effective things someone can do in the first weeks of heartbreak? That's a question from the audience.
Yeah, well, look, in the first week of heartbreak, it's about, I think, the most important thing you can do. And again, for some people, the first week is okay. For some people, it's horrific. So depending on your level of pain. But if your pain is severe, it's about emotional support. You want people around you. You want to be able to talk about it, to be able to process the loss with your friends, to be able to, cry on someone's shoulder, to be able to get a hug, to not feel all alone. The social support component is really important in the immediate aftermath of a heartbreak. The second thing that goes on in the immediate aftermath of a heartbreak is the why. That quest for why. Why did that happen? And the thing that's most confusing to people is, and they'll say this many, many, many times, but I don't get it. Just last week, we had such a great weekend. Just 2 weeks ago, we were on vacation, and I said, I love you, and he said, I love me back. What the hell happened over these past 2 weeks? And
what would you say?
Nothing happened over the past 2 weeks. When someone decides to break up with someone, they don't have the thought and then utter it aloud over cornflakes the next morning. Oh, I'm thinking I might break up with you. There's a period of contemplation that happens, that thoughtfulness and mulling it over, that can take days, weeks, months, sometimes years. And they will not tell you until they're ready. And they're ready, and especially if you're living together, they've usually, unless they're very impulsive, they've formed an exit plan. Well, who's going to go with what, and where am I going to go, and how am I going to do this? And they've formed a timeline for when they're going to do it. And often that timeline, unless it's a very acrimonious breakup, and unless they're like real, assholes, often that timeline is considerate of you. It's like, well, it's right before the holidays. Let's wait until afterwards. Meanwhile, you're like, but we had a great Christmas together. How can this happen a week later? Because they waited. But the other thing that happens is because they've waited, because they're timing it, because they're figuring out the right time to do it, logistically, strategically, emotionally, then they are so far ahead than you, and they've decoupled from you a while, and they're faking it because otherwise, the cat will be out of the bag. So they're actually going through the motions and faking it. They're not lying to you. They're just timing it, sometimes again with your best interest in mind. But to you, it just seems like it went from everything's fine to holy shit, it's over. What happened. And often nothing. It's often premeditated and for a good reason. You shouldn't just pull the rug out from someone on an impulse. You should be very sure. You should think it through. You should imagine what it's like to be without her. You should imagine what it's like to start over again. And only when you're sure should you actually say something.
So this is such an interesting perspective. This is why when someone breaks up with you, you feel like you don't know them anymore. You're unemotional. You're like dead inside. It doesn't seem like you care. You don't.
You're like,
you're
no,
a different person.
They've already mourned you because they've been planning this.
They're farther ahead than you are.
They
So
mourned
for you
right,
just
Sarah.
learned about it.
Yes.
But they're past it, and they have to disconnect, or else it's going to pull them back in potentially.
Right.
Well, like they're a horrible person. He's actually a terrible guy, because they're being insensitive at that point. But they kind of have to be.
There's no easy way to break up with someone, right? I mean, it's a harsh thing. You are causing someone a lot of pain, and someone you used to care about, and in many, many cases still care about, just not in love with. Just don't see your future.
Okay, so but how does this serve our listeners? Knowing what we just told, knowing what Guy just told you, how can this help you? How can this help you knowing this?
Here's how it helps you, because when you see them be so distant, and like we just broke up last week and I'm seeing them now on social media out on a date, did they ever really love me? Was this all a lie? No, it wasn't a lie, and they did. They just started falling out of love, and they started thinking about this way before you did, so they're ahead. But it wasn't a lie until that point that they made the decision. And they didn't tell you at that point because they wanted to be sure. And at the point they'd be sure, they wanted to make sure it was the right time. And that's a natural thing to do, sometimes a considerate thing. So those are the reasons.
Okay, so what do you say to women who are like, okay, don't call him, just absence will make the heart grow fonder. You're just work on yourself. Let him feel what it's like to have to live his life without you.
For how long? For how long?
Oh.
A week, a month, a year. When is the insight hitting him? And again, unless the person's impulsive, they have been thinking about it. They have been imagining it. Right? And so you can give that a week or two. But, you'll know quite soon if they're ambivalent, because they'll reach out.
Yeah. What do you think about this narrative that is all kind of on social media, where it's like, if they want to, they will, right? Like if they want to, they will, like when it comes to men. If men are into you, you will hear from them. They will show up. They will make plans with you. Do you agree with that?
I agree that you know what it feels like to be courted and wanted. And you know what it feels like to be unsure.
See, that's the key word, is that people, I think where we get really in a dangerous spot is that we think the right one feels amazing, the wrong one feels bad. The right one feels really perfect, the wrong one feels terrible. But the wrong one actually feels confusing. It's a little good, and then it's bad. It's 2 days of good, it's 1 day of bad. It's all great things, and then it's some bad things. It's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's not just someone saying, hey, I don't want to be with you. I don't want to commit to you. I don't enjoy having sex with you. I don't like you. It's someone mixing in compliments with things that make you feel insecure, right? It's a mixture. It's confusing. You don't know if they like you or not.
Yes, but look, and this is what I'm talking about again, that dating process. Women need to speak up. You can say, hey, I want to let you know something. We had a bunch of great dates for our first few weeks, and now you're a bit inconsistent. I hear from you quickly some weeks and I don't other weeks. Just to let you know, I tend to kind of withdraw when that happens. I tend to get a little turned off. So if you're interested, keep the volume steady, because if it's erratic, I lose interest quite quickly.
Oh my God, Guy, that is the best thing to say. I will lose interest and I'm turned off by it. I would usually go, it's giving me a lot of anxiety.
No. You tell them that you will lose interest. Maybe because it's giving you anxiety, but they don't need to know that. They just need to know that.
I love that line so much. It's a turn off.
It's so good. And you're putting a guy in a position. I mean, and it's not even manipulative. It's true.
A little bit, but I love it.
It's not manipulative. It's direct.
It's direct.
No, I just mean the truth is, if you're inconsistent, I'll probably get more interested.
That's not what you say. and also, it's the way you should do, because again, what are you signing up for? If you go with it without saying anything about it.
Guy, you're hilarious.
Thank you.
You have like an amazing, just so you have an amazing personality. I understand why 20 million people want to watch you on TED Talks, because you have.
Actually, I think it's 30, so don't shortchange him.
Sorry, I love how he was like, that's not what you said.
Yeah, he's like, don't say that. Even if you're feeling that, do not say it.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, unfortunately, most of us aren't turned off by a guy being inconsistent.
Yes, but you should communicate your needs more directly. Because again, you are signing up for that. You are signing up for a long-term relationship where they can kind of switch it on and off, and you have to be tolerant and sit there. It feels like you want to land the account, but you have to think past that. Once you've landed the account, do you want to? Women always think, I'll get engaged, we'll get married, and then I'll change him. No, cement is really hard at that point. You ain't changing much. So the changes need to happen in real time.
And also, do you feel like, if a guy is being inconsistent with you, kind of saying one thing, doing another, making fake plans, not following through, he knows he's doing that. And he knows if you're allowing him to do it,
exactly.
Right?
He knows that you are tolerating it.
Okay.
And again, you don't have to be harsh. You can just say things like, didn't hear from you last week. Busy at the office, were you? Must have been a busy week. Oh, yeah. No, because I didn't hear from you. So I'm assuming. And what you're communicating there is like, it better have been, otherwise why didn't you contact me? In other words, don't be okay with behavior that you're not going to be okay with.
Okay.
Right, Erin.
I leaned on my relationship with Needed lately, the brand that we are talking about here, because I was like, do I need to be taking prenatals again if I'm going to have another baby? And the answer is yes. And I said, I want my Needed prenatals. It just makes your body in its optimal health to get pregnant. So Needed, they have fantastic
How did you find
products.
Needed? How did you find
That's how my doula,
your doula
told me to use them when I was getting pregnant. And I said,
oh, who?
What do I
Lori.
take?
Lori told you.
Lori. Exactly. Lori told me.
Doula to the stars, and Erin.
Exactly. Oh, I am a star. Thank you. They have a comprehensive prenatal multi. Okay, it's made with bioavailable nutrient forms. It's paired with the sustainably sourced omega-3s, which is super important. So these two essential products, the prenatal multi and the omega-3s, are designed to meet the mom and baby's optimal micronutrient needs. Okay? They are so great, and everybody loves these products. They also, every product you find on there is going to be fantastic. They have hydration for when you're pregnant that's clean. They have a digestive enzyme that I'm obsessed with.
Talk to us about the collagen, because that's the one.
They also have collagen. Yeah. Collagen is known to help keep the embryonic sac thicker and intact. So it's really good to take when you're pregnant, is collagen powder. They have a great
It's really just like the one-stop shop.
Yep. So head over to thisisneeded.com and use the code Foster for 20% off your first order. That's THISISNEEDED.com and use the code Foster for 20% off your first order.
This podcast is sponsored by Cotton. I love the sound of that. I don't need to tell you guys about Cotton, even though I am going to. Obviously, owning a brand, we try to use cotton as much as possible because it's the most trusted textile, I would say, out there. You just know what you're going to get when it comes to cotton. There's a reason why every brand, every successful brand, it is what they use. It really is the fabric of our lives. It's natural. It comes from the earth, okay? It starts as a flower and it matures into a ball with a fluffy interior, and then it is spun into the soft fabric that we all know and love. We all have sensitive skin in my house. We've dealt with a lot of different skin issues. Cotton is the most gentle on your skin. It breathes, keeping you cool, even when it is very hot out. And it has been very hot lately. It's hypoallergenic. I mean, it was the only thing I put on my kids when they were little babies. It was like 100% cotton. That was all I did. Also, our sheets, right? The sheets that we sleep in, always 100% cotton. You know, when your sheets say 100% cotton, you know exactly what you're getting. Our towels, 100% cotton. Also, you know what I think you guys probably don't realize? Some of your favorite blue jeans, guess what they are? 100% cotton, which I had no idea until I got involved with Favorite Daughter, until we started Favorite Daughter. I had no idea about any of this. Cotton is durable. It's easy to wash and care for. It doesn't pill. all your cotton stuff, it stays fresh longer. It keeps its shape. All right, guys, check your tag for cotton. As I've said, it feels great to say cotton. It's the fabric of our lives. Learn more at thefabricofourlives.com.
Erin, our diets, as you know, as I really know, our diets are not perfect. And most synthetic supplements are stripped of cofactors and antioxidants that are only found in real food. So, making pills and powders challenging to digest.
Yep. And then it defeats the whole purpose. 90% of Americans are nutrient deficient, which is pathetic. It's a shocking number, but not surprising. But basically the solution is that GEM, GEM, is the first real food multivitamin formulated with real ingredients that our bodies were built to absorb and free from any synthetic ingredients. It's so important.
We do put a lot of thought into the ads that we bring you. We are not bringing you random woo-woo stuff. This is science-backed, okay?
There are plenty of products to take that are specific for what you're going through. The thing about the GEM Bite is that it is a functional daily multivitamin that's formulated for proper absorption. It's also packed with 20 plus nutrients, prebiotics and probiotics, but it's in a delicious real food bite. It's not in a pill. It's not in a capsule. It's not in a powder. It's in real food. It's a real food bite. So it's not something like I'm taking my vitamins in the morning. It's like I'm taking a little snack.
This is important because a lot of things out there, we think we're getting the efficacy that we are being sold on. We think we're getting the efficacy. We think we're getting things that our body is absorbing. But a lot of the times, you guys, we are not. So it's like, we got to do our own research. We gotta know what we're putting in our own bodies.
Yeah. And GEM has nothing artificial ever in them. All the bites are vegan. They're gluten-free. They are soy-free. And they even work with a pastry chef to make sure that every bite is delicious as well as nutritious. GEM is on a mission to make food as medicine real through bite-sized nutrition solutions that are simple and delightful to digest. So if you want to give the first real food multivitamin a try, go to dailygem.com/Foster or enter Foster at checkout for 30% off your first order. That's dailygem.com/Foster or enter Foster at checkout for 30% off. Guy, where are you from? Where's your accent from?
It's funny. I was just telling someone this. When you Google my name and it autocompletes, the first thing it autocompletes is nothing about my work. It's just Guy Winch, accent. Where's he from? Because that's the... I'm like, really? I get letters from people like, I showed your TED Talk to my class and we have a question. I'm like, please, what is it? Where are you from? And I'm like, okay. So that's...
I say it because your intonation reminds me of Tommy, Sarah's
German.
Father for her kids, who's German.
Okay. Well, I'm not German. I get German a lot. I was born in the UK.
What?
I was born in England.
I would not have guessed that.
I know, it's tricky. It's a very tricky accent to place. I understand it's a puzzler for many.
It is a tricky accent to place, but
Erin, not German at all.
No, but it was just some of his intonation reminds me of Tommy. Tommy's very funny as well.
Okay,
oh, yeah. No, he is.
Okay,
somebody asked, why do we idolize the person who broke up with us?
It's a very natural thing to do, right? And it's part of that, idea of processing. But what you unfortunately process is you tend to remember all the good moments. Because what happens is this: when we feel really bereft, when we feel significantly in pain, then we actually seek to validate why we feel that way, right? I mean, we tend to seek to validate our negative emotions. That's why we tend to spiral as people. When you're in a great mood, everything you see, reminds you of the good stuff. When you're in a bad mood, everything you see reminds you of the bad stuff. So when you're in a severe amount of pain, you seek to validate that. So you actually look at what I lost and you magnify what you lost. You look only at the good times. You think only of the good memories. You look at the pictures in which they look great, not at the ones in which they were picking their nose. You do all those things that highlights the extent of the loss because you're feeling so bereft, and that validates why I'm feeling this bad. It's a natural thing to do. It's not necessarily a useful thing to do because it's not accurate. It's very curative. You're curating memories of them and of the relationship that are highlighting. It's a highlight reel. It's not accurate, and it'll make the pain worse if you keep doing it.
And then we're not even adding on the occasions when he or she has left you for someone else, because then you're obsessing about him or her, but then you're also obsessing about the new person. So then it's like double.
Right. And the new person, and what do they have that I don't? Well, first of all, novelty is one of the things they have that you don't. They're new, and novelty alone is attractive.
And the baggy jeans that they're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And the baggy jeans. I don't know why baggy jeans is a theme with you two, but all right. But apparently there's some scars.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
so
but you guys,
how do
hold
you,
on. How do we, I had a question about that, because a lot of people are left for other people. So how can you not go into the depths of insecurity
comparison
because a lot of the time, especially with social media now, there's a lot of leaving for somebody else.
When somebody leaves you for somebody else, it is a statement about them, not about you, right? It is a statement about their maturity, their ability to say, hey, I'm having doubts about us, or hey, I met someone and I'm starting to have feelings, so I wanted to tell you right away so that, this doesn't go on too long. Or, hey, I'm not fully committed. You should know that. It is a statement about them. It is not a statement about you.
Oh, okay. So it's not my bad highlights.
It's not your highlights one way or the other.
By the way, think about it the other way, Sarah. Someone's not with you for your highlights, so they're certainly not leaving you for having bad highlights.
But often people have
so
those...
highlights. I meant the highlights on my hair, my head.
Yeah,
yes, but that's the thing. In other words, people, often go through that level of like, I must have, worn the wrong thing the other day. They didn't like my new haircut. No one is leaving you for the highlights, for the, for the fact that your panties had like weak elastic. No one, that's not a thing.
Right. We become really irrational. So one of the questions here is, how do I help a friend who's heartbroken 9 months later, still struggling? I mean, 9 months to me isn't even that long.
But what's the limit, guys? That's another question.
Like, what do you do with a friend who's been heartbroken for like years?
Right.
Months. I don't know. Like, what do you do when you want to support a friend in that situation?
Look, there's something called complicated grief. And this is usually written about regular, grief, but complicated grief where you're actually not moving on, where you, heal a little bit, but then you plateau and you're not moving on. Somebody who is holding on 9 months, I don't know how long the relationship was. It had better been like 40 years, but I doubt it if it's from a listener, right? So if it's 9 months, they're holding on to something. And what are they holding on to? And a lot of the times what they're holding on to is they're still trying to make sense of it in some way. Here's the bottom line. You will not start healing until you come to terms with the fact that it's over. And my bet would be that that friend has not yet fully accepted that it's over. She is keeping it alive. She's afraid of going back out there again. She's afraid of moving on. There's something that's going on there, but it's a fear. It's not when you're stuck like that. It's not that, no, it was that impossible to get over. It's that you have not determined to move forward. You are keeping yourself stuck and you are keeping yourself in pain. And it's extremely unfortunate. And so as a friend, I would say to that person, there's something wrong here. Either go get professional help, or you need to make a decision that you are starting to heal and to move forward, and that you are stopping to look. You're not looking back anymore. You can't keep living in the past. It has to be about the future. I will help you look to the future. I don't want to keep supporting you looking back to the past. It's keeping you stuck and it's keeping you in pain for way too long.
That's so interesting that they are choosing to keep the relationship alive.
Yes.
That the hope is it's chosen, right? I'm choosing to not move on.
Yes.
I think that's why ghosting has messed with people. Ghosting is this new thing, right? It's like
it's not that new.
No, but I'm saying like technology. We
Ghosting
never really
messes
used
with people
it.
because they then don't have an adequate explanation of what happened. They have none. Now, I would, when people say to me...
I'm actually still waiting to hear back from someone who ghosted me about 12 years ago.
Okay.
And I don't think he's going to text me.
It's possible the statute of limitations has expired on that one. But I'll tell you something. When people say, well, I was ghosted, so I can't come up with a reason for why it's over. And I'm like, well, actually, if you were ghosted, you certainly can come up with a reason for why it's over. The person...
He was not into you, honey.
No,
I'm sorry
he
to be.
did not have the balls to break up with you directly. He was cowardly enough to just run away without any accountability. Now, by the way, if it's after 2 dates or 3 dates, not that's different. But if it was a relationship and they suddenly like just stop and you weren't living together and you just never hear from them again, that's a cowardly, immature act. That's why it didn't work out, because you were dating an immature coward.
Yeah, let's stop vilifying. This is good. Let's stop vilifying after a couple dates where there's maybe no intimacy, vilifying like being ghosted. There are
that's
no
not being ghosted.
My ghosting was after
that's being
after
not
2
followed
dates.
up with.
Exactly. Like, I'm so sick and tired of hearing people being like, this asshole, we had the best date and then I just never heard from him and like, let's ruin his life. Like, what are you talking about? Absolutely not. But you know what? This is much better. I took it as he's not into you, honey. No, it's not even that. He is just too much of a pussy to tell you to your face.
Correct.
See, Sarah, you always want to shame and blame the girl. It's the guy. It's the guy. There's nothing wrong with her. He's a loser.
Yeah, he's a loser. No, I agree. I absolutely agree. Oh my God. I could talk to you for 900 hours. Okay. Can we talk a little bit about building our self-esteem after these situations? Because I think that is so important. It's something I never did. I never looked inward at all. I was just so obsessed with so many things. But let's talk about how to rebuild our self-esteem and how quickly we should start. Like, it's okay to grieve for okay, what if it's like 2 years? What if it's 2 years and you live together? How long are you allowed?
You're saying the relationship was 2 years?
Yeah. Or I don't know, I'm guessing 2 years, 3 years, you live together, weren't engaged, but how long is it okay to kind of...
Here's the paradox with the self-esteem thing, right? Because you are who you are. They fell in love with who you are. So you must have been completely adequate for them to fall in love with who you are. Unless you have thoroughly changed, who you are, the person who has changed is them. So it's not a reflection on who you are and what your worth is.
That's so... I mean...
Oh, Sarah just dropped her mic in a gesture of him mic dropping.
No, because well, they'll see it. They'll watch this on YouTube.
Oh.
But it's so interesting looking at it like that. This person fell in love with you. You were perfect for them. You were everything. Unless you went and did something super drastic on your personality, right? Because guys aren't going like, oh, you know what? She didn't have cellulite when I met her. Now she does. I think I have to dump her. That doesn't actually happen. Or maybe it does. I don't know.
Not after 2 years.
Yeah, not after 2
So
years.
that's what I'm saying.
The first date.
So again, rejection makes us savage our self-esteem. That's where it goes, but we shouldn't do it. And there's also no reason to. Again, especially after a 2-year relationship. The other thing is when people, if the listeners are young, when you meet someone in your early 20s, right, and you're with them, let's say for 5 years, and they break up with you when you're like 28 or 29. The other thing that happens is that you are still developing. Our brains, our prefrontal cortex, where all the good stuff is, keeps developing until the age of 25. Often we're not even fully cooked at 20. And so if this is a college sweetheart or graduate school sweetheart, like you are still evolving, and you might not evolve in the same parallel line. You might evolve differently. They might have changed. You might have changed, but not in a bad way changed. Evolved, grown, matured, figured out some stuff about you and what you like, and them about what they like and who they are. And that might not be a great fit anymore. And usually it's that very boring answer of the fit didn't work anymore. At the beginning, it might be the fit doesn't work, and that's why it's not developing. But after there's been a relationship, people grew apart. They drifted. They just weren't in it anymore. Their lives grew apart. And that's a very natural thing, but there's no one to blame for that. There's not necessarily a villain in that story. There's not a bad one. There's not an unattractive one. There's just parts that diverge a lot of the time. And because it's so boring, most people are like, that's not a satisfying explanation for why I hurt so much. And it might not feel that way, but it often is that.
Okay, so how are we building our self-esteem back? I mean, what are ways to begin after you're done grieving?
Here's an exercise you can do to build self-esteem. This is a science-founded, exercise. And it's a writing exercise because writing allows us to go deeper into our brain. It's an exercise that actually involves more parts of our brain, so it sticks more and it has more of an impact. But the writing is, make a list of all the things that make you a great relationship partner. Make it an exhaustive list. List 50 things, list 100 things. Make it, about, I have beautiful eyes. Make it, my muffins are unsurpassed. Like, I'm emotionally available. I'm a great traveler. I'm tolerant of people's stories, even when they're boring. I'm great at faking it and nodding enthusiastically. Whatever the qualities are that you have, that are valuable because they've been proven so in the past. And then every single day, twice a day if you're really hurting, choose one and write a paragraph or two about why that quality is valuable, why you're glad you have it, how it's been appreciated in the past, or how it might be appreciated in the future. This is an exercise called self-affirming. You are affirming aspects of yourself which are valuable, which are going to be appreciated by other people. You are reminding yourself of all you have to offer, and that will make you feel better about yourself, and it'll also give you more hope because you keep reminding yourself, like, no, yeah, there's a lot going on here.
And it'll really sort of reverse how you're feeling by shifting it to like his loss.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Because we say it a lot, like, oh, well, it's just his loss, but you don't believe it. But that exercise will actually make you
believe it.
Believe it.
Yes.
I love that.
Okay, my last
I love
question,
that.
because your heart out is in 2 minutes.
Wait, do you really have, is it a real heart out,
Sarah,
or can you go 5 more minutes?
We can go 5.
You have to
Okay,
accept
5.
people's heart outs.
Okay, 5 more minutes.
My question, out of the questions that I'm reading here from our audience, there's a few different questions that are about closure, right? Like, how do you find your own closure from a relationship that has unfinished business? Or what if you don't have closure? And I will just say this, that when I was going through a breakup, when I was 20 years old, I said to my therapist, I can't move on because I don't have any closure. He never apologized. He hasn't admitted what he did wrong. He didn't admit to cheating. And she said, sweetheart, people die and people leave you. And closure is a solo job. It happens alone. You have to be able to have closure if someone has died. You don't get to have that person there. So closure is alone.
Yes.
You agree?
Yes. Great. Good on that therapist. That's exactly right. The closure is a story we have in our head. It's the story that you want to tell yourself. And so make it a story that has to fit the facts. If it doesn't fit the facts, it won't feel like closure. But whether it's because they had commitment issues, whether it's because they were never really honest with you about what bothered them, whether it's because they didn't have the emotional sophistication to have relationship conversations and to work on things and to fix things, whether it's because 1,001 things, they were cheating people, whether it's because they were actually lying to you all along, or, the fidelity was a real problem for them, they really actually weren't into monogamy, whatever the thing was, your story to tell. So use the facts, but curate a story that serves you, that doesn't blame you, unless there was something terrible that you did and immediately afterwards they broke up with you, then, oops, I did that, they broke up with me, said it was because of that, I need to look at why I did that or why that was such a big deal, different story. But short of that, come up with a story and put the question to rest. It is very important to put the question to rest. The why of it can nag at you for a long time, and you won't start really healing well until you resolve it. And thank goodness that people don't usually tell us why they break up with us. You do not want to hear, okay, well, here's the list of what I don't like about you. Let's go through it slowly, and then you'll understand the why. No one wants to hear it. So they're not going to say that, hopefully. They're going to say whatever. But it amounts to, we drifted apart. They weren't in love anymore. They didn't tell me they were drifting apart. I didn't realize I was too preoccupied. Irreconcilable differences. Whatever the thing is. But come up with something that fits the facts and makes you feel okay. Sign on that dotted line and put the question to rest.
But don't tell yourself lies. Like, we as women, we create these stories. We're catastrophists, a lot of us. Like, we go to the physical aspect. We go to maybe we don't. Maybe it's just a me thing.
It's a real big theme for you, Sarah, which is just ironic.
No, but there are many women who will just look in the mirror and start looking at, anything that they're not thrilled about and go, it was because this isn't good enough and that's not good enough. And it's like, again, they fell in love with you with the this and the that. It's not that.
I know. I was saying to my friend, I was like, honey, supermodels get dumped every day. It's not about about the way you look. Okay. How?
No, but Guy's point is so interesting. It's like, But if you're not hot enough, they fell in love with you. So you were hot enough for them to fall in love with you. So there would be no reason why that would be the reason that they aren't in love with you now.
That is like an amazing mic drop situation. I mean, it's like so obvious, but it's something I don't think a lot of us realize.
Right.
Dang. Okay.
Sara, pick your last question. You got 3 minutes.
Well, but are we done? Because
Yes,
the closure thing is
yes.
important. I mean, did we
The closure is
capture enough of that?
it's literally come up with a thing that you can come up with that makes you feel okay, and be done with the question.
Okay. How do you know? This is an audience question. How do you know when it's time to give up on a relationship?
Look, I mean, as a therapist, once you've tried to work on it, hopefully together, once you've made efforts to work on it, and if they refuse to work on it, once you've tried to communicate what your problems are, what your dissatisfactions are, in other words, you've tried to make it the best you can make it, and it's not good enough. But it's after those efforts, ideally. You can also give up on a relationship if it stalls, if it doesn't progress, if it's just like, we're not getting married. It's been, I hear so many people like, well, we got married after 7 or 8 years, and it's a year later and they're in therapy. And I'm like, that seems like a long time to be together and not get married. Yeah, he didn't really want to commit. And I'm like, and then what happened at year 7 other than exhaustion that he said yes? Like, was it just fatigue from saying no? Like, what was it? Like, because nothing was resolved then. In other words, like it's the relationship has to work for you minimally. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be great all the time. There's some difficult moments. But as long as you can fix them, as long as you can work on them and have that idea of we try and communicate about what isn't working, and we try and figure out how to make that work.
I mean, obviously it's not a one size fits all, but what is a realistic timeline for people? I think we have a lot of listeners who are late 20s, early 30s. I mean, we've got all types of ages, but if you have been dating someone for a year, 2 years, I mean, what is, again, it's not one size fits all, but what is a standard amount of time that women should start going like, guys, what's going on? This is.
Well, I mean, again, they should say it if they've articulated to the person, hey, where is this going? I would like this to go somewhere. But if you haven't said anything because you don't want to rock the boat, or you don't want to find out that like, I'm afraid they'll say that it's not going anywhere, or like, how long do you want to wait and be afraid without actually finding out? But assuming you have said something and they, are kicking the can down the road and they're postponing and delaying, then you need to have an understanding of why. Well, I want to be done with school. Really? Because you're in a surgical residency. That's going to be a long time. So what happens then? Why not before? But you want to have this needs to be a conversation about it. Like, why not now? What are the criteria? What are you waiting for? And then if they keep saying, well, then when this happens or when that, but it still doesn't happen, then you say to them, there's something holding you back about this. If this is not something you intend, I need to know. Because you're wasting my time.
Yeah. There's so much power in asking questions, I've learned. And a lot of my guy friends, they say the same thing, which is I love a woman who knows what she wants. And knowing what you want is asking for what you want and saying what you need. So I would really implore a lot of you guys listening, if you're in this sort of situation, have a plan and go to him or go to her and just ask direct questions, because there's so much power in it. And I wish I had this episode when I was in my 20s. It would have changed the trajectory of how I did things. Damn it.
Guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving us extra time. And I know that this is going to be very helpful to our listeners and to Sara.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure.